of the questions I sort of see asked a lot around is how to correctly spool up line onto a reel. Now this is one for the novices, guys. If you're an old hat angler, you know exactly how to do this, but this is the correct way, the easiest way to do it. Now here's a typical situation. I have a rod reel. I've taken off the top section. I only have the butt section. And what I've done is I've stuck a piece of foam, you can see that, in the actual eye of the rod. All right, and we're going to come back to that because that's important. Any kind of foam will do. You have your reel, okay, and I'm going to put on some line. So basically I have some Fox Exocet. This is the Fox Exocet line. So I'm going to come in close so you can kind of see what I'm doing. Now basically the way I'm going to attach this to the actual reel is I'm just going to do a very, very simple overhand loop. So I'm going to come up, make a loop, and then just roll round twice and go back through the loop. It's a real basic overhand loop. Doesn't have to be too big. That's about plenty there. And then I'm just going to then nip off that piece of excess. Now, one thing I will advise you, don't do what I've just done there. Use your scissors, don't use your teeth, because there'll be no dentist in the land that will be giving you kudos for having gaps in your teeth from cutting line like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to attach that now to the reel. And the way we do that is we're going to bring it through the foam and the actual eye on the rod. And the reason why we have the foam in place is it's there to put on tension on the line. So when we're winding the line through onto the reel, it comes through on with tension, and the tension then allows it actually coil tightly on the reel and sit perfectly. Okay, here's the reel here. So we're going to open the bail arm. What we're going to do is we're going to take the loop, and now we're going to take a bit of slack and we're going to pull the line through the loop. Okay, so now we have a bigger loop. It's kind of lassoed, and we're going to pop that around the actual spool. And what you do is you put the knot to the very bottom of the spool. So you make sure the knot is down here at the bottom of the spool. What I tend to do is I tend to give it a couple of wraps just onto the actual spool, so that when I tighten down, we get some tension on it and it locks tight. As I said, the foam just keeps tension on it without being too tight, so that you can spool up your reels and the line lay would be perfect. One thing a lot of anglers do is they tend to underfill their spools. You have to understand, when you cast out a couple of times, you'll tension the line and it'll actually get tighter onto the spool. So you need to have, technically I borderline overfill my spools, because when I know once I've put out a couple of casts, I know that I'm going to have a much neater bedding down on the actual spool itself. Here's the other thing a lot of people don't do, and it's something that I do all the time, and that is, when I spool up my reels, I then take them into a field, I cast them out, or I walk them out maybe 150 yards of line, and then I tie it off to a post, and then I take the line at the top of my rod. I don't pull my rod, and what I take the line and I wrap it around my arms and I walk back and I pull slightly. What I'm doing is I'm taking out the spring out the line, because all lines have inherent spring in them from the factory, and then when I wind back in, it's even more bedded down again, and I wind in under tension. I walk towards the post rather than let the line just flap around the field. You can do that over water if you want, but I'm more inclined to go into a field and do it properly, and as I say, pull out the line and get the tension out, or tension into the line, so that when it's on the spool, it's bedded down properly. The line I'm using here today is Fox Exocet. This is 23-pound breaking strain line. It's a 0.40 line, but it's when you actually feel it actually through your fingers, it feels like a much lighter line, sort of more like a 15 to 16-pound line. But this is designed to cast really, really well and be fairly abrasion resistant. And you know, because it's a 0.40 line, you know, you're going to be able to sort of hit, you know, heavy weed, bit of snag fishing, hit and hold situations. Certainly for piking, it's going to be a brilliant line. For a lot of venues I fish where weed is a problem, it's going to be a godsend. And also if you're into heavy PVA bag work where you have to fish straight through, again, weed fishing, then that's going to be spot on. Now, I'm pretty much there on where I need this reel to be. I'm going to come in for a close-up so you can see, and it'll just take a second for it to focus in. But as you can see, that line lay is absolutely gorgeous, and it should be for the reel that it's on. But that'll give you an indication of pretty much where I want to be actually spooling it to. I'm right out to the very lip there, and it's kind of nearly in flush. And I probably will give another 1 or 2 wraps on that, and that should be good to go. But it just gives you an indication of pretty much how I fill the spools. It's right up to the top, and you really should be as close to that as you can be for your general fishing. And something that's kind of new on a lot of the lines is they put these little markers on them, on the lines, to indicate how much line you've got left. So you'll know that you've used 250 meters, 500 meters, 750 meters. So you have an idea of how much line you've got left. That's handy if you're spooling up on multiple rods. One of the most important things about when you're putting on the line onto your reel is that you don't impart any line twist. And the easiest way to get away from that is, as I've said, you put it into a bucket of water and you put 2 lead weights on top, 2 C weights I usually put on top of the actual spool to make it sink down to the bottom. And I keep it flat. I don't let it spin around or rotate. I keep it flat. And I keep the tag side, which in this example here is the Fox Exocet line, the tag side is facing out because Fox and all line manufacturers have designed their spools that when you take the line off from the tag end up, it will come off anti-clockwise. So that means your reel is winding clockwise and it's coming off the spool anti-clockwise, so you're going to impart no twist. If you allow it spin around, or if you actually have it upside down, then you're going to get line twist, and that's going to be a problem for you. So it's real simple. I take the actual spool itself, I put it into the bucket of water with the actual logo label facing up. I then put some leads on top to try and keep it down at the bottom of the water so it doesn't spin around. And then it's just a case of winding through the ring, which has foam in it, which keeps the tension on it, and it also cleans off the line. The water in the bucket is pretty warm. It's not boiling, but it's pretty warm. And again, that makes the line very supple, very soft, and it takes any memory out of it as it comes off the spool, and it means that you get a much softer, easier wrap onto the line. Your line lay is going to be absolutely brilliant. It's a very, very quick, very simple, easy way of spooling up a rod and a reel with your line, and if you do it right, you'll have no issues. This has been MIA TV, looking at the easiest way to spool up new line onto reels, and we'll see you in the next video.